For more now on the work that's ahead for the UN in Haiti, we're joined by CBS News Foreign Affairs analyst Pamela Falk. Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle.
How is the UN handling this? How are they dealing with this crisis?
Well, it's very difficult for the UN. They were the principal vehicle for most of the aid to Haiti, and the UN mission in Haiti is virtually hobbled right now, and that is because of the collapse of the building. They still have 12,000 mission representatives, both peacekeeping forces and officials distributing aid in Haiti. But they lost the senior person in the mission. They lost 30 other, as you mentioned, representatives, and the infrastructure of the building and the distribution network. So where everybody goes is lost. And so they are going to go back today to the UN Security Council, talk about it, figure out, and also try to get more money. There's $100 million pledged from the United States. Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, is trying to get $500 million. So it's partly to show solidarity with Haiti and to make sure that there's a sense that the UN will pick up where it left off. There are UN agencies. World Food Program, UNESCO is still there, UNDP is still there, but they have to now be coordinated.
The list of the problems in Haiti can go on and on.
Yes.
Not only the government buildings collapsing, so they can't run the government, but also, the people, the medical concerns.
Right.
Where is that aid going to be focused as far as the UN goes?
Well, part of the problem is there are three elements of all of this aid flowing in, and it's really been an outpouring. It's been wonderful. $8 million was raised just on the text messaging to the Red Cross, which is wonderful. NFL, all sports organizations have given money, Red Cross, different hospitals and private charities. So I think that's all a very good sign. The outpouring has been tremendous. The problem is coordinating that money. So there are three basic elements. One is search and rescue and distributing water and food, and there's still hospitals that are operating on flashlights and without any kind of medicine. And the second is making sure that the distribution is done and then rebuild the country, and that's a big element. And then the final one, which is really not on the UN agenda but on the U.S. agenda, is to make sure that there's follow-up when the cameras go, when the international the spotlight isn't on them anymore, that they are still seen, and they believe there's credibility, because the downside for U.S. policy has to be to make sure Haitians stay in Haiti. There's a history of refugee flows when people are very hungry or unhappy because of the proximity to the United States. And President Clinton knows that very well. Hillary Clinton knows that very well as Secretary of State, but because they were in the White House during 1994, the last refugee crisis. So rebuilding Haiti itself is part of the issue.
Unfortunately, there's the issue also of safety for everyone and the violence.
Right.
How is that going to factor in?
Well, that's part of the problem, and that's not, a lot of people have said that has something to do with Haiti. It has something to do with a major crisis.
Right.
The World Health Organization said that 50% of the country, which is almost 10 million people, which is a lot of people on a small island, were without portable and usable water last year. So that's before the crisis starts, and then people are basically without water and without food for the few days it took to get even trucks and everyone else in. The United States will have up to 12,000 troops and bulldozers and all sorts of equipment really responding to this, but it is so overwhelming that the direction of the aid, the channeling of the aid, the making sure that Haiti doesn't become yet again, because it has in the past, be aid dependent. And so the other piece of rebuilding is to make sure there are jobs, to make sure there's reforestation in Haiti, and to get the overall infrastructure so the country can govern itself. Right now, the government palace has collapsed, so Rene Preval, the president, has nowhere to work. The Ministry of Health has collapsed, the parliament. There's virtually no government.
There's a lot to do. All right, CBS News Foreign Affairs analyst Pamela Falk. Pam, thanks so much.
Sure, Michelle.